Hi there, Henry from 911 Virgin, the Porsche people in Uxbridge. Welcome to another video. It's been a while. It's the middle of winter, and so kind of making videos is quite hard. Difficult to get them out on the road because they just get covered in muck, and also it's bad anyway. We buy a car in, I want to take it out for a drive. The sales team is shouting at me saying, no, don't get it dirty. I've got someone coming to see it, and so got a bit of a battle. But it's a kind of reasonably nice day in the middle of winter. The sun has been shining, and we've got a couple of cars in which I couldn't not make a video on. The first of the cars is this. We've actually done a video on if not this one of these before, but it's still pretty rare. So it's a 40th anniversary to celebrate 40 years of Porsche 911 production. Really quite kind of a bit of an unsung hero really, but very, very strong following. So based on the 996 and a little bit more power. If you remember, we went out for driving one and it just feels like the perfect 996. This is a like uber low mileage one, and it's still got this look. You've got some special luggage with it, and this still, normally these go walkabout and you don't normally get the suitcases, but this particular car still comes complete with its luggage. So this is a great car, rare, thrilled to bits to be able to get it into stock, but this is like properly rare, to the point where I've never actually sold one of these in right-hand drive before. It is, in terms of numbers, I think I'm right in saying there were just 14 of these sold in right-hand drive in the UK. So, like, eminently collectible. What is it? It is a 964 Speedster. 964, you will remember, was what I tend to think of as the first of the modern generation 911s. Took over from the 3.2 Carrera, the G series cars, and those 3.2 Carreras, you kind of go right back to 63, and they're a real kind of classic car. In 89, Porsche launched the 964 externally, kind of a bit like a 3.2 Carrera, but with colour-coded bumpers, but a totally different car. The floor pan goes from being flat to having a tunnel running down the middle of it, so you got much more torsional rigidity. They did that because this was the first Porsche 911 which was going to be, or first common production Porsche 911, because there is a Porsche 959, but the first sort of common production Porsche 911 which was offered in four-wheel drive, and in fact the four-wheel drive came out before the two-wheel drive, and so that centre tunnel allows you to take power from the rear to the front, but it also gives you more torsional rigidity in the body shell. Suspension changed. You've got, instead of torsion bars, you've got coil sprung suspension. You had power steering, ABS brakes. It really brought the Porsche 911 kind of into the modern era. One of the benefits of that centre tunnel running down the floor pan and the extra torsional rigidity is that the convertible suddenly became less flexible, and so it helped the convertible platform. And on the strength of the convertibles, Porsche launched the 964 Speedster in, I think I'm right in saying, 1993. The Speedster itself we first saw it in the 356, and the Speedster came out with a lower front screen, slightly sharper rake on the front screen, and it kind of reduced the height, and it was also an open top car, but even the roof on, it was a slightly lower height, and it just looks a very sexy car. You also had, way back in the day, the 550s, the 718s, the lightweight racing Porsches. You'll think of, well, James Dean obviously made one of those very famous for all the wrong reasons, and with those they tended to have a kind of hump very often behind the driver. I don't know why. I'm guessing it's something to do with roll hoop, and because it was aluminium, so it wouldn't have actually offered much protection. But that styling cue, Porsche carried through in their Speedster design. The Speedster first came out in, I think it was 89. Certainly it was on a 3.2 Carrera, and I've sold 3.2 Carrera Speedsters in the past. In terms of numbers, right-hand drive 3.2 Speedsters, about 139, 140, I think. So still quite rare, but just 14 of these. So the Speedster was a kind of stripped down car. At this age, you've got a power roof on your convertible, but not on the Speedster. This was a manual roof. The roof on these essentially was, you kind of signed a little form saying, look, it's a kind of get you home emergency roof rather than a fully weatherproof roof. You know, these aren't designed to be kind of tested in tropical conditions with rain coming in. It means if you get caught out in a shower, you can pop the roof up. Essentially, they're designed to be seen and driven like this, roof down, and then the roof hidden underneath this kind of clamshell type arrangement here. Positioning in terms of the model lineup, Porsche with the 964 quite famously produced the RS version, and we're actually in the throes of restoring my RS at the moment. Actually, we've got a series of videos on that. We've got the next one we'll do will be the engine having just been rebuilt on that. So the RS was again stripped down, very driver focused, and designed if you wanted to do maybe some track days, and it bridged the cup cars, the pure race 911 with a road car, and that was the RS. What Porsche have done with the Speedster is they've taken the stripped down element of it, but they haven't gone quite as harsh with the suspension. It's a slightly more compliant ride than an RS. This wasn't really designed to be you know, hurtled around the racetrack and done track days. This is more a fun, you know, go out on a nice summer's day, you know, or weekend away or whatever, in style, couple of people, and yeah, have a bit of fun in the car. So again, pure 911 driving. So you have the clamshell. We'll show the roof going up, how that goes up in a minute, but roof's contained underneath there. You've still got, with all the 964s, you've got an electric rear spoiler which pops up as you hit. I think initially it was over 70 miles an hour, but they reduced it to, I'm going to say 40-ish miles an hour, because obviously it meant that if your spoiler was up, the law enforcement community would know that you'd exceeded the national speed limit, and so it was a bit of a giveaway, so they reduced the speed threshold, but that pops up electrically and then goes back down. Air-cooled 3.6 engine. Let's just... So air-cooled 3.6 engine in there. Standard engine for the 964. Great, powerful engine. 200 and I'm going to say 60 something horsepower, 60, 65. Don't quote me. As you well know, I don't know all the numbers. I'm only guessing, but it's that order of magnitude. 3.2 Carrera was around about 230 odd horsepower, so this gave you a little bit more power. You had things like the twin distributors in these 964 engines, so there's 2 spark plugs per cylinder to help aid combustion, so yeah, you saw some technology like that which continue through. I always say this whenever we do a 964. If you just come in here, this little pipe here, there was a problem. These are the 2 distributors in here, and there's a little drive belt that runs between the 2 distributors, and they tended to snap, which meant that the slave distributor didn't turn round, and only the main distributor turned. And the reason they decided was because it was ionized air. So this is designed to blow through the both the rear lights, and then there's also a pipe going through into the distributor there to clear the ionized air to stop the belt snapping. Whether or not that is the case, who knows? But that's what Porsche say, so I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to argue. A couple of the little things which you notice on the, I'll come around this side, on the Speedster, these side windows, these are really funky, look at this. So you have a frameless glass on here, and if you see this shaping in here on the side window, they're a much lower side window because the whole, even the roof up, the whole profile is lower. And you've got some shaping in there to take the front screen where it rakes back further, and then it's got less height on it, and so yeah. You still had electric windows on this particular car, so they didn't go for wind-up windows, which the RS did. So the RS, absolutely pure weight saving. You save quite a lot of weight on the roof mechanism because of the fact that it's a non-power roof. It's a manual, a simpler affair. You saved a little bit of weight on there, so again, feels a bit easier to do. Matt, who's filming today, by the way, has just asked me also to remind you that you have the door pulls in here. So it's a much simpler door card, no door pockets going along in here, and these little tags, same as the RS. Yeah, that's another feature on them. 5-speed manual gearbox in this. The 964 did come as Tiptronic, but I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that all the Speedsters were all 5-speed manuals. Certainly, I think all the UK cars were. Wheel wise, you've got the Design 90 style wheel, which are the 17-inch cup wheel. Not Design 90, sorry, the cup wheel. The Design 90 was the flat face with the little scoops out in there. These are the cup alloy, which quite you know, were the desirable wheel of the day on these. No, but not magnesium. So these were just a standard wheel. The RS had a magnesium wheel, as which I know because when you're restoring magnesium wheels, very difficult to do, and so we had to enlist the services of a proper expert to do our magnesium wheels on the RS. Chris from XL Wheels, thank you very much indeed. Spent a lot of time on my wheels and they look lovely. You'll see those when we start putting the car back together, but these are not magnesium, these are just a standard alloy wheel. The other thing that you had on the later 964s were these teardrop mirrors. So for, I think it was the 92, 93 model year, you went from the rectangular mirrors, the kind of tombstone type mirror, to these later teardrop mirrors. So they were all fitted to the Speedsters because obviously they're a later car. So as with all the 964s, of course, engine being in the back, you have storage in the front boot area there, and so you get a bit of stuff in there. You've also then got a spare wheel on the front there. This is lovely, still retains its original tool roll, the little pack you got with the set of gloves, compressor and all the bits and pieces, jack in there, and yeah, this, as I say, it is a very kind of rare collectible car. Little sticker under the front bonnet, so you'll have the option codes and so on, and put underneath there. It's one of those things that everyone says, oh, has it been involved in an accident? If it's still got the sticker under the front bonnet, it's not an accident. Not quite true, but anyway, still got its little sticker under the front there. This particular car also has kind of armour fend on it, so it's got a clear plastic coating all over it to help protect stone chips and that sort of thing, but that wasn't a standard feature. Someone's had it done. But yeah, I just couldn't, you know, not make a video of this. It's such a rare car, and it's lovely. What we'll do now, I will enlist the services of Dan, and we'll show you the roof going up to see how the roof is put back up on top of the car. So very much the blind leading the blind. I've enlisted the service of Dan, so we're going to show you the roof going up. So the first thing you have to do, this clamshell here, there's a little lever just in the side here. We release the tension on that so the clamshell can now move backwards to reveal the convertible roof. There's two little flatter tabs here, so when you're folding it away, you keep this part of the roof back with these little tabs. So we'll pull those tabs off, just lift it. There we go, and that then slides down there. We then lift the roof up, and then inside there are two more little tabs. If you can, I don't know whether you'll be able to get in with your camera, but you can you see just in there, there's a little tab, elasticated tab, which just goes on the roof frame there, both sides, and that helps when the roof's going back down, it helps the window from puckering. So they need to be released. If you just release yours on there, okay. Having released those elasticated tabs, we're going to put the back window carefully up there like that, and then we then put the clamshell down. Now there we then pull the roof back down. So you have what looks to be some pop fasteners here, but they're actually little hooks, and they're going to go underneath the clamshell. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get Dan to just hold the tension on the roof up there, and it just makes it easier for me to go around and just hook those in place. You stay there, Dan, I'll go around and do this side. And then finally you have two little tabs on here again if you keep the tension off, and we're going to hook that underneath the clamshell and then just fold away those tabs on there. And then if you go to the rear and just lift that up slightly just to take the pressure off that for me. And inside here we have some little tabs which just lock the front of the roof into the screen top rail there. And then the very last thing we do is with this lever on the side here, we just then reapply the tension onto the clamshell, and then there you have it. That's the Speedster roof assembled thus. So we're now going to show you how the roof goes down. So the first thing we need to do is to release the tension on the clamshell, little lever in the inner quarter panel there. Then we take off the two clips. So that takes the clips from the roof, front of the roof, onto the screen top frame. We're going to take the pressure off there. Now we've now got to pull out these two on each side, the little hooks on each side there. Have you done those two? Okay, I'll come and do this side. And when you first see these, you assume, because of that, you assume it's a pop fastener. It's actually not. They're little hooks that go in there. And then also on the back here, you have these little tabs, and that runs all the way along, and that hooks into the clamshell on there. So at this point, we can now put that roof down on the front, protecting the screen. Lift the clamshell up, and so we now fold that back down carefully. Hang on, that's it, that way around. And so the first thing we're going to do, inside there's two little elasticated tabs, and you hook those onto a little point on the frame. And what that does is means when you fold the roof down, it just puts these little corners. It's like making a hospital fold in a bed. Anyone that back in the day before you had duvets, you had to do that, and bottom corner. Any nurses amongst you will know instantly. That goes back down there. Hang on, that's not right. Okay. Okay, and then these little tabs here are located on the top rail clips. That holds that part of the roof back. Then we can lower the clamshell down and pop the tension back in the clamshell, lock it in position, and there we go. That's the 964 Speedster roof in its lowered position. So there you go. As I say, I couldn't not make a video on this. It's such a rare car. You know, we were really thrilled to buy this one in. This is a, you know, one of the cars that we do kind of very much kind of collector's cars, and we're quite I suppose odd. Well, I'm very odd, but as a company we're quite odd in that we don't have a sort of a certain era of cars that we sell. You know, we will tackle everything from, you know, mid 70s, and we do some 1960s cars as well, right through to pretty much the current day. And because we kind of understand our cars, you know, quite well, it allows us to, you know, understand what constitutes good and bad cars and indifferent cars. And, you know, we buy some outright, we do some on commission sales. This is actually a car that we've bought outright, you know, so we own it and we're selling it. But we do get people, you know, selling cars on their behalf. And again, we're slightly unusual in that if we do get a commission sale, we don't differentiate that. So if we're selling someone else's car, we still stand to the car afterwards. So it means that the cars will achieve, you know, full kind of retail price. If you do a sort of sale or return and, you know, you're on your own when the car goes away, or you buy it in auction, you know, someone's not going to pay top dollar for it because they want to keep a bit aside in case there's problems with it. You know, even with our commission sales, we stand to the car fully afterwards. So, you know, we're happy to work either buying outright or selling on behalf of customers. But this one was one which we actually paid for outright and own it and put it into stock. And so we were really, really thrilled. And you know, we have our kind of bread and butter run-of-the-mill cars. I guess the kind of, you know, 997, 991 era cars and coming into 992s are our kind of bread and butter. But then when we get something like this in, it's really exciting. You know, one of these, maybe a 993, some of the earlier 3.2 Carreras, that sort of thing. Yeah, just it's different variety being the spice of life. So hope you enjoyed it. And seeing this 964 Speedster right-hand drive, one of just 14 cars. So as I say, it's you know, in terms of numbers, this will be going, I suspect, into someone's collection, and it'll you know, make a nice addition. So, but hopefully you'll see it out on the road from time to time. And yeah. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm Henry. We're 911 Virgin, the Porsche people in Uxbridge. Many thanks for watching. Look after yourselves. Goodbye.